Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We are back with week 2, day 2 of SKL. I am Bailey Ponox Dietrich, joined by Blake Designator Zanadine.
Suh, dudes.
Suh, dudes. And we are going to be back with Fellowship of the Nerds taking on ADP Gaming. It's going to be a pretty hype match.
No, I'm just kidding. Let's get it. Let's pump it up. I need some Swamp Thing maybe to bump it up. But no, I'm actually pretty stoked. This should be pretty good. ADP Gaming coming off a 2-0 last week. Fellowship of the Nerds splitting their series. So
And I mean, their series they had was a super back and forth series. I mean, there were some long drawn out games, lots of ZZ Rob portals, lots of pushing. It was a great macro play game. And they really pulled it off there, so we're going to have to see if they can go for a second round here as we're hopping in already. Sejuani, Bard, Braum, Ari, and Kennen already taken off the tables here. So definitely some targeted bans here for Fellowship of the Nerds. That Sejuani being taken away from Flamefire X, definitely one of his favorite champions to go to, something we've seen him on quite a bit. And then Kennen also being taken away.
well, that's where something me and Silky talked about even on Dazzles on Sunday there was ADP Gaming doesn't exactly have the play with the meta champions as much, but they're very good with their niche picks in team fighting. So I do like those bans taking away the Sejuani and Kennen, who have really good team fight potential. But on the other side, they take away Chosgood's Bard, which I'm pretty sure has been banned every game against him so far. Ari being banned. Jay Frazier actually not playing this game. They're using a sub today. Bananas Inc. is
Incorporated.
Soraka mid or Riot. Essentially,
Yeah,
so
basically.
we'll have to see if this Raka makes an appearance. But then Gragas, definitely one of Bosgood's go-to, so I wouldn't be surprised to see him pull out that Lee Sin.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the main champions we've seen Bosgood on in the jungle. So another comfort pick would be that Lee Sin, but they are going to take the Morgana first round there. Very strong support pick, especially in some of the metas with the hard engage you see. So Lux and Jarvan locked in there for Flamefire X, going to be taking that in the jungle almost certainly, with the Sejuani being taken away. And something that still fits his style with the engage heavy, tanky jungler, I guess you could say. Still has some good high base stats, so he's going to be able to have a good early game there too. But the Lux also being taken in the mid lane there, very safe, but still strong pick.
Scales so well too, and the pick potential. I mean, Jarvan has a decent amount of CC. You have the knock up, and you also have the Cataclysm to hold people in there. So hopefully, and that's what's going to be beneficial for them is get those team fights. And I believe Lux's Luminosity fills up the entire Cataclysm, so you get someone in there, they're automatically getting hit by that E. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a lot of AoE come out, maybe a Jinx AD carry, but Bosgood is going to lock in that Lee Sin like we kind of suspected, and maybe we're going to see a Nautilus in the top lane here going for Harablo.
I mean, Nautilus has been nerfed in the last patch here. The Riptide does do a little bit less damage, but he's still doing everything that you want Nautilus to do. Just a lot of CC. He gets very, very tanky, even though, sure, you're not doing the most damage anymore. The auto attacks on him, just the empowered auto attacks, they do enough for you. Once you get that Iceborne Gauntlet, you're going to be hurting a lot in that top lane, even despite the Riptide nerfs. That was one of the things that made him very strong as a support was his trading abilities there. Now he's kind of found his place in the top lane again. So still a very, very strong pick in the meta currently. The buffs didn't really hold them down. Where they might have kept down other champions there, but Nautilus staying strong.
Yeah, I almost got excited. I thought he actually did lock in the Urgot because I was gonna say it's been buffed. I kind of want to see how it works in competitive play. But yeah, you're right. Just being that frontline guy you need with the CC, he's still a pretty effective blood pusher with the Riptide and his shield, so definitely a good front line for them. They need a bit of damage because I'm thinking Childgood's going to be playing that Morgana, probably going to go to the support there. But we see the Poppy and then bench the Kench on the other side there, so very interesting. Leaving their 80 carry for the last pick.
Yeah.
Which is kind of surprising to me.
The thing is, though, is the Tahm Kench is a pretty good pick into something like the Morgana or something like the Nautilus because it can kind of negate their ults onto a carry. So having that definitely is a very safe for the amount of engage that Fellowship of the Nerds is hoping to pack with this. Really turns that around. Same with the Poppy, being able to use that ultimate to really throw everyone back to base. Super strong, but it also is a great engage tool. So Poppy has a best of both worlds, great defense and peel, but also great engage.
That Cataclysm's actually going to add a wall for him to stun on, so it's going to be pretty good synergy.
Exactly, very dirty. I mean, you always seen the Narvin comps and stuff like that, and it's the Poppy.
Poppin'. We poppin' fools, man.
Poppin' comp, yeah. But the Jhin being locked in for Baby Chog in the bot lane, and Chosgood taking the the Corki into the mid lane. I do like that, actually, the double AD carry, but they have a lot of lockdown to really help out that Jhin get through some of those team fights and maybe the earlier parts of the game to help him scale into that later part where he really just takes over and does an insane amount of damage. Seen a lot of favor towards Jhin lately, especially in the pro scene. And a lot of variations in terms of builds as well. We do see a lot of people going with that Essence Reaver, not really building any lifesteal, anything like that. And then a variation between the Static Shiv and the Rapid Fire, even though I think Static Shiv has kind of found its place as the dominant one of the two.
Yeah. I think we've been over my distaste for that stupid item at this point. But I don't know. I just feel like it's a better pick. But I was actually very surprised. I thought maybe they were going to try and pick the Jhin on the other side, having that Tahm Kench. But like you said, they have a beefy enough front line. And with that Black Shield, should be able to keep him pretty safe. The only thing that's really not going to be negated is getting out of that Cataclysm for Jhin. But that's where you just got to nut up or shut up. Go toe-to-toe with them. The thing about the Jarvan ulti is sometimes it's more of a challenge. You're going to lock someone in there. You better make sure you can stay alive while you're in there. So
that is very true. I mean, we've also seen Baby Trog play a lot more mobile AD carries. Jhin is something that's very different for him here. I mean, he favors the Ezreal, something maybe like a Corki or a Lucian in the bot lane as well. But going with the Jhin, it's going to be a very different play style for him going into this game. And the Ezreal being picked into him, I mean, that's a great pick because you're able to dodge the snare, really able to maneuver around the ultimate, the curtain call as well. So it's going to be a challenge for him in the bot lane. We're going to have to see if Baby Trog and Chosgood can pull this one off.
Well, especially with that Iceborne Gauntlet, like you were saying, he's not really that mobile when you can continually slow him. And Tahm Kench is going to be able to just walk up, smack him with the tongue. So hopefully Chosgood using that Black Shield should be able to keep him enough. But like you're saying, definitely easy for him to dodge most of those abilities on that Ezreal. But I know Baby Truck has been putting in some time on that Jhin. Played with him the other day. He was rocking the Jhin, saying he's liking the pick. So we'll see if he's got enough work down pat on that champion that's ready to go. I
gotta admit, when Jhin first came out, I was not a fan whatsoever. I thought he was garbage tier champion.
I played him twice. You witnessed how it went. So
yeah, I was just not a fan of the reload system. But now with some of the buffs that have come through with him, I mean the extra slow on the traps, and then now just the amount of damage that he can put out late game. Now he's gotten a little bit of help to be able to get to that point. That fourth crit can just half health or more your enemy AD carry. So it's disgusting just the amount of potential he has in team fights.
And that's the thing is fighting early on, that's going to be the big thing is trading. If before Ezreal really gets that Iceborne Gauntlet, as long as you stay within the creeps, you really can't take as much damage while trading. So if you get those autos off, it's going to be huge for him later on because winning those trades early keeps you a little safer, delays that Frozen Gauntlet. So hopefully, he uses that fourth auto really to perfection to put that Ezreal a little further back.
Yeah, it's going to be... I feel like that's where most of the attention is going to be put because in the top lane, it's going to be more or less just like a tank lane where it's not going to be too exciting. They're going to trade back and forth a little bit, but I don't think either one's going to really get a kill unless it's very early on because as soon as they go and get those Sunfire Capes and the Iceborne Gauntlets, it's just going to be... No one's going to win either side of that one. But yeah, I feel like the jungle attention is definitely going to be focused a lot in that bot lane, maybe even into that mid lane a little bit. They're trying to get this Lux shut down and the Corki snowballing.
And that's definitely where I'm going to be trying to pay attention. You've got Bananas Inc. coming in, filling in the spot for Jay Frazier. And I mean, Fellowship of the Nerds is one of those teams we've looked at that has pretty good coordination. Maybe didn't show it as much last week, but towards the end of last season, we saw it was very strong. They're very good at doing those kind of split push comps because they're so used to each other, but bringing in someone brand new for 2 games, looks like he's maybe got a... I don't know if we'd ever see Jay Frazier play this kind of style of champion, this Corki kind of just poke and sit back. He usually plays the Lulu or Ari, kind of those engage assassin type champions. Well, I guess he does play Nivea, so that's kind of just a stall freeze. But it'll be interesting to see if they can work Bananas Inc. into this kind of team comp, or if they're going to take a different approach to the game.
Yeah, definitely a very different style coming out of the mid lane. But I got to ask you the question, Dazzle. Who do you think has the advantage coming out of this pick and ban?
I hate this because I always pick a team and I'm never right. But okay, let's see here. Based off of picks, I'm going to give it to... Probably going to give off picks to ADP Gaming because I think the Lux Ezreal combo is disgusting. You also got the great front line in Tahm Kench as well as Poppy. You've got a lot of lockdown there from the Jarvan. I don't think Jarvan's a strong late game, but he doesn't fall off as hard as Lee Sin. So I'm going to give team comp advantage to ADP Gaming. How about yourself?
I think it's going to always depend on this early game here. I feel like if Jhin doesn't get shut down, I'm going to give it towards Fellowship, just because I really like Jhin picks lately, especially with a Nautilus on your team and some other form of lockdown, which Morgana definitely helps out with the binding. Same with the Lee Sin, being able to kick someone into a priority situation. So I like Fellowship of the Nerds pick here. But we actually do have the club tags already coming out for the teams here. Fellowship of the Nerds, ADP not quite on point there, as Azog still a little left out of the loop here, but we are going to be getting into the team comps here, guys. So on the blue side, we have Fellowship of the Nerds with Harblow playing Nautilus in the top lane, Bosgood playing Lee Sin in the jungle, Bananas Incorporated playing Corki in the mid lane, Baby Chog and Chosgood rounding out the bot lane with Jhin and Morgana.
And on the red side, we do have ADP with Azog bringing out that Poppy in the top lane. We've got Flamefire Triple X on that Jarvan in the jungle. We've got Eliana playing Lux in the mid lane. Lawless Lawless AD carry with Ezreal. And to round it off, we have Egluosity playing the Kench. Hopefully gonna get that new Earth Kench skin, because I think that's one of my favorites.
No, man, the Meowkai is hilarious.
Oh, okay, that's pretty good.
The Meowkai is too good to ignore. But I'm actually not a fan of the tags. I don't like the placement. I like it in front. I don't like change that much. I want it back.
So you said like the rank 5 type thing.
Yeah, exactly like the rank 5 or any other competitive LoL you've ever seen in your life.
That's true. That's true. Usually thrown out in the front. Okay.
But it looks like they're just going to set up a bush bait here. But both teams are just trying to kind of bait that out. And it looks like Fellowship is actually going to go for the invade completely undetected here. Nobody has any idea where the other team is. And so just going to be like 2 ships in the night. And Egolocity and their squad going to try and roam in now after the fact. Not catch anyone. Use a little bit mana. But both teams just kind of going on a roundabout field trip here.
And honestly, one thing that I always find is very interesting. Oh, we might see a fight here as they're on the backside. They don't get spotted out. They do get the snare onto the Lux.
Don't
throw
it.
That Q. Not going to follow it in, though.
It.
As they're going to just trade damage back and forth. Only Baby Chow getting hit there by the snare. And they're just going to say, hey, how are you? You know, give a couple of high fives and then walk out of there. But like I was saying, I'm very surprised a lot of teams that when they do the invade, a lot of them don't defensive ward to see if they're going to get invaded upon. I don't think I've seen that once so far. And I mean, it would be helpful in that situation. They still did catch them out, though. Kind of went face to face. But everyone a little too timid for that level 1 5v5, because that is the easiest way to swing a game in someone's favor.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, with the defensive warding, there's only one possible way they can invade without you seeing them on that side of the map, at least. You put it in that river brush on your side of the map, and then you invade on the opposite side of it. So there's only one way. You're either going to run into them, you're either not going to see them, or they're taking your blue. So it's at that point, you might as well get the vision, because that trinket ward, it's on such a low cooldown, you're going to have it back up before it actually really matters. So something like the mid laner could use that, because you're not really going to be seeing too many level 3 ganks, or even if the top laner's around there too, it's going to be back up by the time they actually need it. But some good trades coming out of here actually from the bot side of ADP Gaming, chunking out Fellowship of the Nerds a little bit here, but we already see a pretty big lead for Corki in the mid lane, 10-4, kind of accumulating this very, very fast. Corki doing pretty well.
He's gonna be able to trade quite effectively. I don't think Lux should be able to poke him out. That Floss Bomb should still do enough damage as long as he doesn't get snared up. Should be able to keep up fairly well, being that ranged champion. So that's usually where the Lux is successful. But we do see an early gank here coming in from Flamefire. A little obvious, but the Black Shield not available yet, so he is forced to flash there. Doesn't want to get knocked up. Followed up CC, so that's going to be very scary. That's going to be very likely for him, and he's actually staying in the bush there, so might go in for another gank as Chosgood goes in there. He has flash available. He immediately gets the snare, and they're going to keep going. The dancing grenade going out. He's going to get exhausted, though. As long as he doesn't get eaten here, they do have that full stacks of acquired taste, but just going to back off. And that's the scary thing, is now that both of them don't have their flashes, how are you really going to keep him safe when they can engage on him so easily? So this is where I think they should spend a lot of time in the bot lane.
Yeah, I mean, that was a pretty aggressive move from Chosgood to go into the brush there so soon after the Jarvan had left the lane. I mean, sure, you want to get the vision, but you also want to make sure you're not having to use more summoners as they were forced into at that point. So Chosgood not having a flash himself, and Baby Chog having no summoners whatsoever to, like, the bot lane right now where only exhaust was used. So they are in such a good position on ADP Gaming to really take advantage of this low mobility Jhin if they get into the right position. But it looks like they're pushing the waves a little bit too much, and they're not going to be in a great spot to actually, go for this unless they want to go for a big dive in a bit. But it looks like the Jarvan is just going to power farm up a little bit, try and get himself some levels so his ganks are a little more successful. Harblow, though, trading very well into Azog in the top side of the map there. Also got a little bit of lead in the CS department, too. But Nautilus, a little bit easier time as he's got so much AoE with the Riptide. I mean, he is going to burn through his mana a little bit, but the Corruption Potions are definitely going to help out with that. We already see Lee Sin backing and picking up that early Tractor's Knife, trying to really put down the vision. Definitely a staple in Lee Sin's build right now is going to be that Tractor's Knife build. Just the wards, so much utility, and it's a lot faster than having to rush that Sightstone.
And we haven't really seen much of him. He is just trying to power farm, usually Lee Sin being that aggressive jungler, but I think Jarvan is just as equally aggressive, so it's going to be very hard for him to try and keep up, but it's very important to get those wards early on, helps you with those ward kicks, place yourself, even get behind the enemy, try and get into those tri-brush for those easy ganks. So I do like this bot lane though. Coming forward, it would be very easy for the Lee Sin to get ganked, but we do see Harablo and Azog going at it here, just trade back. But with the double snares that you have with Jhin Morgana, I think that's why it's so strong, and I'm so glad that they didn't give it to the Lux side, because if you get Lux and Jhin, both of those really long range snare, and you get two people with that. But we do see Balazgood, he does go in there. Are they going to be able to land the snare? No, he is forced to flash out though. Chazka just going to drop that Tormented Soil, doing a little bit of damage, actually proccing the Thunderlords onto Ezreal there. So very well done, and I'm very impressed with how well they are safely farming with no flashes available.
Yeah, I'm not too sure actually if Agilocity had to burn the flash there. He did still have gray health available, and they were only level 4 at that point. It's not like he was going to get Lee Sin kicked back into the team, so pretty early flash coming out of him there, but more of a respect flash probably, not wanting to get the layered CC, the layered snares coming out of that bot lane to really hold him down and force him to flash later on. At least at this point he can stay in the lane, but it was definitely a touch and go one at that point.
I think, yeah, just being scared of getting the double snare and then having that Lee Sin there for additional damage. Was at about quarter health, so it would have been about half health even with gray health. Could have been scary, but like you said, I think maybe a bit of an early flash, but definitely just trying to play safe. And sometimes that's always the best, because you hold on to your flash and then you die and you're kind of like, oh man, definitely could have used that and put yourself on tilt.
So something that was really noted a lot at IEM Katowice anyways was the use of teleport in the lanes now. So especially in the mid lane where you see teleport on the mid laners, it's somewhat also similar in the top lane. You want to burn your mana very, very early, get some good trades in back, get yourself some early items. But we actually do see Harblow in the top lane right now. He actually just walked back to lane after going back and getting that Bomby Cinder, putting him a little bit behind in the CS, but the waves, he actually had them prepped so well that they kind of crashed back into him, and he's able to pick him up, and now he's back in the lead in the CS. So great move from Harblow in the top lane actually to just know kind of how the wave interactions work right there. Timing it, realizing he doesn't have to burn the teleport, so now he's going to have that advantage on Poppy unless she walks back to lane, which she just did.
And yeah, gonna
thanks.
Be able, but
thanks, Azog.
I was in there just watching. I'm like, oh, he's gonna be mad when he realizes he's also walking back to lane. He's gonna get most of that. But the double snare does come through, but they have to be very careful. Flamefire is waiting very patiently in the back. Bosgood is making his way down there though, so he is gonna come in here, gonna land that flag and drag. But he does have that black shield available, but a ton of damage going through. Actually gonna pop that, forcing him to use the heal there. Flash is still available. Not a lot of mana coming through, but Bosgood does go in. He immediately gets eaten as the TP comes through from Nautilus. But we do have Azog coming down as well. That final spark is gonna miss wide, and Azog is in a really bad spot here. The Nautilus ulti goes down onto Egglosity. He has to use the gray health. He does not have flash available from early, but a great ulti there from Azog, but it's not going to be enough as First Blood is actually picked up by the mid laner, Bananas Inc., making that impact early for Fellowship of the Nerds.
That was absolutely bananas.
That was nutty. That was absolutely nutty. But yeah, forcing both top laners actually to TP down into that fight, what kind of looked like just a simple gank. I was actually scared. I didn't know Baby Chalk took so much burst damage when that first started, and then maybe overcommitting a little bit for that kill. Both TPs come through. Everyone really having ultis except for the bot lane and the jungler, so not able to get that cataclysm, but they're going to go on to Ileana here as she gets kicked away, but the barrier is going to keep him alive as Azog goes in. He's going to pick up that kill onto Bananas Inc., and it looks like Bosco just going to try and get away here. Throws out the resonating strike, but isn't going to follow it in, just kind of using it as a bit of deterrence there. So trading 1 for 1 in the end for kills.
Very unfortunate overcommit there from Fellowship of the Nerds, wanting to dive the tower, pick up a second kill for themselves, ends up biting them right in the rear as they tried to follow that one up a little too much. So yeah, we saw both top laners really commit to that one as well. It was great that they both saved their teleports. Way to go, Azog.
He went for the swag kick there.
Yeah.
No respect for the barrier. Maybe didn't know that the Lux necessarily had it.
Well, I think she actually used it later on. It was still just there the entire time. But anyways, back to that bot lane skirmish there. Yeah, the unfortunate thing with the Morgana Black Shield, though, is it really only blocks the magic damage on it. So when you have a Jarvan and a Ezreal that are still doing physical damage at that point, it's not really going to do too much as that. He was really just blocking the CC from the Jarvan Flag and Drag, but he still, yeah, took the major majority of that burst. And we already see Flamefire X making his way again to the bot side, really wanting to abuse this Jhin, who's already picked up the BF sword for himself. So he's in a very good spot at this point as far as trading goes, because Ezreal did have that tier in the Sheen, so that's a good spot for Ezreal to be in the lane as well. Very easy to kind of proc the Sheen with Ezreal, and especially when you have tier, you're going to be able to trade for an extended period of time. But BF sword with that 4th auto, it's going to be huge.
And just Chazka poking down a lot of health here on Egloss, so he's going to have to back off. But like you said, that BF sword is huge on Jhin. As long as you can keep landing those dancing grenades, scales so well with AD. And I mean, you don't have that attack speed, so pretty much everything scales off of your AD. The extra damage you get from your autos, not using attack speed, basically a useless ability. But we do see Eliana in a lot of trouble here. Does get hit by that depth charge. They're going to go in, no flash available. Will give that kill over to Harablo. I would say it's pretty worth. You roam down, use that ulti, you better secure that kill. And even himself blue buff as well, so that should help him push that Poppy to turret constantly and keep that pressure there. And a great trade there by Baby Truck, getting the dancing grenade, the crit, and landing that snare as well. But fortunately, Chazka not close enough to land that second bind.
Yeah, well, another nice binding there from Chazka. Really on point with those for the most part. But we saw Harblow in the top lane recognize that Azal get back to base there and then use that opportunity to roam down, realizing that there was not going to be any follow-up.
Well, the double snare going out. He's going to use the curtain caller. He might try and go for a kill. Law is Law, trying to block it as much as possible. But he's going to cancel that last shot as they go out of range. So, two-shot barrage coming up to clear. Sorry, I thought maybe we might have to kill. I'll let you continue.
No, that's fine. That's fine. You can take over like that.
Just cutting you off. My bad, my bad, my bad.
But anyways, yeah, Harblow roaming, like, great roam from him in that top side. But Egolocity looks like he might go down here.
The snare going out. They will pick up that kill. They're going to turn on to Lawless Law, but he's going to arcane shift out of there. No ulti available for that Ezreal, so should stay fairly safe there. He's going to back up, but Bosgood really wants this kill. Might just drop the ward and jump to it, but he's going to back up as Ileana making her way down there. And Harablo in a bit of trouble as Flamefire just picked up that red buff. He's going to Cataclysm in. He's going to be forced to flash out of there. Has the hook against the wall, but they're going to keep chasing this. He can't flash over any walls. They have a great gap closing between the two of them. Couldn't use that Riptide to try and slow them. They will back away, but that is that flash burn for the Nautilus.
That's such a risky move, though, having to use a Riptide to slow, because you're not sure if it's going to put Poppy in the range for the heroic charge or not, just because of the short animation that the Riptide actually takes. But great move from him there, able to escape that gank, which, if he wouldn't have flashed, would have been a very poor spot. And, I mean, he is going to have a pretty safe laning phase. He's picked up the Raptor's Cloak, so he's going to rush an early ZZ Rot portal here. Really focus on the split pushing effort now that he also has the Bomby Cinder, too. It's such a strong item right now. There's really no good alternative to it when it has that much pushing power. So it's just a great combination to pick up there. And into a Poppy, you don't want anything like Banner of Command, because she's going to, do very well into that. But yeah, the Raptor's Cloak going into the ZZ Rot paired with the Bomby Cinder, he's just going to be pushing and pushing and pushing forever.
I hate that item so much.
ZZ Rot?
It's
ZZ Rot's great.
A stupid,
the Rot, dude.
Such a dumb. I mean, it's very good for what it's made for. For me, it's just made this meta very, very frustrating.
I think it's really accentuated the amount of macro play that teams can have. I mean, like side wave control, stuff like that. It's really done that rather than just trying
the double snare going out, actually, as the TP comes in from Azog. They do force the heal out of Lawless Law, but he gets eaten, and he's going to be in a lot of trouble. He does not have any summoners available. They will pick up that kill. Lawless Law going to get them for himself. Didn't even see that TP come through by Harablo. Just going to try and put pressure top. See, they might trade the Dragon for the Rift Herald.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, you can't really contest this now that Baby Trog has gone down, so taking the best out of a bad situation of that. They're going to grab that Rift Herald, probably toss it on the Nautilus in the top lane, get him even more pushing power there, and really try and, pick some objectives off of this, so maybe try and get themselves a top turret. As you know, Azog was in the bot side. He was helping pick up that dragon, and he's going to be in the mid lane still, so they have clear vision on him. We do see Bosgood sticking around in the top side too, and they're pushing the wave extremely hard, so they might try and go even turret for turret in this one. But I think the mid lane turret is definitely more worth out of the two here. Azog's always going to be able to push there, but the teleport is coming in actually from the Nautilus. They might try and follow, so now Binding's going to go wide though.
But Corki is coming in. He does have that Rip Trail, so he has the increased speed as well as that package, so they might try and chase this down, but they are just going to back off. A great TP though, having to try and take that turret, and Bosgood might be able to still, and he does answer with that top turret, so that's going to be the first turret of the game going for Fellowship of the Nerds there. And they very well easily could dive if they can land some sort of CC, but Flamefire waiting off in the wings there, sitting in there, the Raptors camp, just waiting.
I mean, it's very smart to give the Rift Herald over to Bosgood there, because he's the one who's going to be sticking around in the top side of the map. Nautilus was the one with the global teleport.
I thought they gave it to Corki. I got confused. I thought the person who takes the buff was given credit for the kill. What's wrong?
No. That's incorrect.
Oh, no, I know you can grab the buff separately, but I thought it would announce who took the buff, not actually who got the kill. Why you do that for the packages? We're doing a ton of damage. Flamefire X is in a bit of trouble here. He does have that curtain call. Gonna miss that one shot. Does land it. Oh, the last shot gonna get through, but he gets eaten and misses the big one as well. So that Tom Kench pick so far paying off, really keeping those teammates alive.
I feel like I'm going to be just so frustrated watching this. Just, oh, yes, perfect curtain call, and then Tom Kench. And it's going to frustrate me to no end. Azog, though, going to try and clear this pink ward, as Nautilus might try and contest it at this point. I mean, top laners, they're very beefy at this point. The Spectre's Cowl on the Poppy is going to definitely help her against this Nautilus, who does a majority of magic damage, paired with a Balmy Cinder there, also more magic damage. So not really going to be hurting too much. Both of them did take the Grasp of the Undying as well, so trades are more or less just going to heal them for a little while there. So yeah, it's going to be pretty boring at the top side of the map.
Yeah, it's kind of back to that try and stale top lane tank meta, where it's just like, all right, well, we'll see a team fights at like 30 minutes.
Just reminds me of like Mundo Shyvana.
I hated that meta so much. Oh, like honestly, as an AD carry, like you couldn't do anything. It was like, oh, this game's fun. Let me just like kick you in the shin while you just destroy my base. But oh, that's an aggressive arcane shift there, but Dark Binding going to go wide, so they're not going to be able to punish that. But Chosgood actually having that blue buff, he's not too worried about mana problems. He's just going to throw abilities out. But Bosgood is behind the Meliana, going to try and walk down there and answer to that. But a lot of pressure being put on that bot lane. Is he going to try and catch the mid laner out? No, it looks like just going to head back towards his turret, as Flamefire X is going to try and steal some of that jungle top side.
But they did ping out the Jarvan, making his way into the jungle there, so they know where he is. They know he's not bot side, so they know that they have a little bit of pressure there at least. And we do see Bosgood still hanging around that side of the map. Might be making his way towards the mid lane. Want to try and get this Corki rolling a little bit there now that he's got the Trinity Force. Huge power spike for him in the mid lane, as well as he's accumulated quite a CS advantage there too. 125 CS to 103 now. There's quite a jump there from the 98, but Harblow already roaming down there as well. He doesn't have a turret to push anymore, so just going to get the waves slow pushing in his favor, make Azog answer and apply the pressure as they have the mana advantage in the mid lane. And now we see Bosgood also making his way there. Egolocity forced to try and answer that, and is going to leave Lawless Law alone in the bot lane, trying to answer that as well, making his way mid side. So we might actually get our first all-around big old team fight.
Big old team fight, and I'm actually looking forward to it. We do have that gauntlet complete, so they should be able to kite. The Lux actually opted to go for the needlessly large rod instead of finishing that Morello, so gonna see if that's actually gonna pay off or not. Not having that fully completed item, the Morellos is definitely a better choice in this situation. I mean, I think if the still would have been pretty good for the MR against the Nautilus and the Corki, but Corki does so much split damage, it's really hard to tell what to build, but not going to really stop much of that healing. But they're looking to just group and siege here, and great poke coming out from Bananas Inc. Going to put a lot of pressure onto that Ezreal. Haven't really seen many Qs get thrown out here, or maybe just not landed. Don't really see the slow buff. True Shot Barrage is pulled through, but it is a 4v5. Azog does have that teleport if it is needed. Harablo does not. So as he heads back up there, kind of putting his team at a disadvantage with that global pressure, as Azog could TP at a moment's notice, but it looks like he's actually just going to start walking down there, maybe come in for a flank.
Yeah, tried to push that turret back in there, but Great spot to put the ZZ Raw portal from Power Blow, actually, under his own turret. So Azog couldn't really answer it and kill it in time, so he had to end up pushing the wave all the way back in before he could even try and get close to it. Ends up doing that. Still going to have the ZZ Raw portal in the top side, though, slowly pushing that in, but a lot of damage coming out of Elena.
Baby Shark actually getting fully comboed there,
Yeah.
forcing the heal out of, forcing his heal out there. Gets hit by another E, so might have to back off, but it looks like they have sieged that turret, so it'll be another. The boss good actually being the turret sieger for his team. Who needs a split pushing top laner when you have a Lee Sin jungle just crushing those turrets?
I mean, he
for
did
ya?
go warrior. He did not go that Cinder Hulk Lee Sin that we've seen some people go. So he's still focusing on the damage, and that damage goes to turrets.
And I mean, he wasn't that active in the ganks. He did look that bot side that one time when that dragon fight has broken up. Besides that, he's really just kind of power farmed on this Lee Sin. So might as well put him to some kind of use. He didn't find much success in those ganks when he tried. So gotta make some kind of presence on this map.
Yeah, and he's really looking to kind of get the mobility, as he did pick up the swiftness boots as well, not the newly buffed Merc treads with the extra tenacity on them. He wants to get that movement speed in the jungle. He wants to be able to run around very fast. And Tom Kench just control and swallow up Eliana there in the mid lane. Curtain call coming out though.
And it is gonna land 2 shots here. Gonna get the third one out, but very healthy target, so not gonna do a whole lot of damage there. But Bananas Inc. actually trading very well back, half healthing that Ezreal. There is going to be a pause, as that was a scripted snare. It was definitely out of the hitbox. So
Yeah.
no, I'm just kidding. But he does land that. Looks like maybe a bit of connectivity issues for ADP Gaming here.
Azog just seems to have kind of disconnected there at that point. But anyways, like let's talk about these lanes a little bit here. So Corki, huge discrepancy in the mid lane as far as CS goes. He also has a kill to his name too. So he's at a very, very good spot where we still see kind of components for the Lux here. She does not have a single completed item. She's got the Needlessly Large. She's got the Fiendish Codex. She's got just a little bit of everything there. So she hasn't really combined that into much. So definitely in a very good spot for them to pick a fight right now. The only question mark on that is I hate Tom Kench.
All right, that's fair.
Well, they can't get the picks that they need because he's always shutting it down. They can't get the snares because he's just going to eat up the target. They can't get the curtain call because he's just going to absorb all the damage. They can't really follow up with a Nautilus ultimate or anything to kind of start the fight because guess what? Tom Kench is going to answer that. So the Tom Kench pick alone is really slowing down the pace of the game for Fellowship of the Nerds, and it's going to be very, very frustrating.
And I totally agree. The amount of times they would have had a kill if that Tom Kench hadn't eaten the carries, it's going to be very hard for them to land that consistent double snare combo, because as soon as they get hit by one, he just eats them up, takes them away, second one's used. But then that allows the Nautilus to re-engage if he's allowed to hit that CC. So you have to be careful and maybe be mindful of when to eat someone and when not to, because if he panics and eats someone off the first snare, there is a decent amount of CC still coming out from Fellowship of the Nerds that they can use on another target to collapse on there. But it's also going to be very hard. I think they're going to have to try and maybe look for a fight around Dragon, because it's going to be very hard to siege turrets against this Lux. And that's why Bozgood's really been trying to split push. Lux has great wave clear. I mean, finished items or not, has that needlessly large rod, so that E should still clear waves quite quickly. Corki, very good at also pushing waves back and forth. So this game might be very stale for a while until all of a sudden somebody takes off, because it's going to be just a clear fest. I mean, you've got Ezreal, who's going to want to look towards that late game Lux. You get to that late game, you can pretty much destroy anyone on their team, even their tanks. Take a good chunk of their health if you catch them out. So I feel like this might be one of those stale games that kind of takes forever, but at some point it'll explode upon us.
It's tough because this is such a tempo-based meta where you kind of want to get that in your favor right off the bat, and hopefully it carries out the rest of the game. But it's something you have to consistently stay with. So when we get to a point like this, where teams are kind of sitting around and getting lackadaisical, it leads to opportunities of error. It's going to lead them to kind of making dumb plays just because they're tired of pushing waves forever. So they might try and take an unfavorable trade, might try and take an unfavorable dragon or objective there. Hopefully they can kind of practice a little bit of patience here and stay consistent and keep the tempo up for them. Because right now I feel like it's a little more in Fellowship of the Nerds' favor, as they did pick up the top side and they already have that pushing further and further in. That ZZ Raw portal is definitely going to help them with that. but I can see that being built on the other side as well. Because, I mean, honestly, you can build that on any champion, and it's super frustrating. You can build it on the Kench, you can build it on Jarvan if you really want to, but a nice double snare landing on Agilocity. If you can't, get any of the other targets, might as well go for the Kench.
Yeah,
kind of like Soraka.
Snare the guy that's going to try, and yeah, it's exactly like that situation. If you can't get rid of the person that you're trying to kill, go for the guy who's saving them. And he may be a little tankier, but if you hold him down long enough, pin him down, beat him, everything dies, Ponox. Nothing lives forever.
Except my career.
Okay, I like
Wait,
that.
We see a dragon being
We have
taken
to be
here.
very careful here because they do have the package available. So if they are able to land that CC and the package goes through, they're going to be stuck taking a ton of magic damage. If we do see the package go in, as Banana Inks goes in, he immediately flashes out as the Cataclysm goes through. A great kick though. The laser goes through pretty much the majority of the team. That's a double kill for Bosgood. As Azog's going to be the next target, they turn their focus. They do take down Bosgood, but the carries everyone very low. Lawless Law might be able to clean this up. He's very healthy. Does have that Iceborne Gauntlet if they want to continue to chase. A lot of low health bars. That True Shot Barrage not quite up yet, but overall, Fellowship of the Nerds picking up that dragon, getting 3 kills for themselves. Definitely worth for them. A great package there by Bananas Inc.
That was so close. Like, that was on a knife's edge. If they would have stuck around even a second longer, Lawless Law would have landed a Q auto attack, would have killed probably 2 of them at that point. Curtain Call coming in from a great spot, though, from Baby Chalk. He's going to try and follow that up. Don't have the vision of who is landing on, but he's not going to pick up any kills on that one, though. Dodged all the shots. Some more connectivity issues here from Azog. Tough spot to be in when you're trying to take these fights at this point.
And your top laner DC's your front line.
Yeah.
Your tanky guy. That's always very scary. But that was very well played. I think this is going to be very hard for them because they want to try and have these small area team fights for such the package. You've got Riptide to try and slow them. But at the same time, you look there, they all funneled into there, that Lux Laser and the True Shot Barrage going through a majority of the team, dealing so much damage, and they turn that fight around pretty easily.
Yeah.
And the later this game goes, that burst is going to do so much more. The Fellowship of the Nerds licking their wounds and just kind of running away.
It's tough, yeah, because both teams want these choke points because you're going to have the Curtain Call, you're going to have, like you said, the Nautilus being able to go in there, but actually, even though Azog was the one who DC'd, I feel like he played that fight perfectly. I mean, he completely disrupted that backline. He got a great flank, and he was able to really tie up the Corki, so he wasn't able to kind of, do more DPS there. Baby Chog also being distracted a little bit in that backline, so they're really able to handle Harblow, who kind of went in deep there. Same with Bosgood, so they exactly played that right, I feel like. Tough thing with that, though, is exactly like you said, they want the choke points, but so does Lux and Ezreal. That's where they thrive. Beyond that wave clear, they also have a great amount of burst, and they kind of pair those two ultimates together, and they are on very, very short cooldown, so they have a lot more opportunities to take these fights than Fellowship of the Nerds do. They have to time that perfectly. They have to make sure package is available for Corki. They can't, try and take an unfavorable fight and all of a sudden just get destroyed by this 30-second cooldown that's Ezreal and Lux ultimates. So it's a tough spot for them to be in. And then you have these huge beefy frontliners that also do an insane amount of damage. Tom Kench, I mean, even though he's on the support role now, if you build him full tank, you're still, that tongue lash is, it's really broken. Even though they did kind of modify the width of it and stuff, it's still doing a great amount of damage. Azog, when you get the heroic charge, you get the hammer. It's tough. It's a very tough position to be in. And Flamefire X, great base stats on the Jarvan as well. But also, if we look at the vision game here, you can see that dragon side of the map was also completely littered for ADP gaming.
But
so many
they didn't get the dragon.
They didn't get the dragon, but they were able to spot out which choke point to kind of funnel themselves into. They had the vision of it. They knew there was no opportunities for flanks or anything like that. Even though they did have full vision of the team at the dragon point. So another thing there, they had full vision. They knew no flanks were going to be available because everyone had to come right at your face. Where at Azog, he was able to get the teleport flank, was able to come in on the side. Actually, his teleport's still available, so he just walked down there.
He did.
Azog, proving me wrong again.
But you got to give props to Bosgood. He had a really great kick all the way through. I think he kicked the driver into the Poppy, really negating the engage that they had. A great flash there by Bananas Inc. to get himself out of that Cataclysm. So really, they only had the Lee Sin stuck in that Cataclysm. So just gives him the old "Hoo!" and then kicks him out of the ult. I think that's one of my favorite noises. Just the "Hoo!"
I think I love Fizz noises.
Fizz noises only done by Silky Mittens.
Yeah.
Should we? No,
Shark! But I mean, beyond the cosplaying of League of Legends characters here, we have to take a look at the bot lane here as well. The Jhin, he did not go for the Essence Reaver. He decided to go for that 250% critical damage with the Infinity Edge.
I think it's very important though to get that. When you're guaranteed a 4th auto, it's always gonna crit. Maximizing your damage to make sure it does 250% and it's guaranteed. That's pretty clutch. And then if any of your other ones also crit, that's gonna be huge. So probably gonna work towards that static shiv, maybe even that rapid fire cannon, like you said. God forbid. I hate that item, but it just. And people are like, oh, well, why do you build it? He doesn't use attack speed. But having that magic damage go off on another one of your autos is just so much more burst. And if you get it right before your crit or with your crit, static shiv also crit. So it just has a massive amount of burst damage. Rapid fire cannon is pretty good, though, for the Jhin, giving him just that little extra range, even if it's just for that crit shot.
Yeah. So we also do see that they move the ZZ route portal from the top side to the mid lane, really focusing their attention towards that now. Actually, Lux just back, so they might have the opportunity as they see Poppy in the top side, see Ezreal in the bot lane. They're going to be able to take this tower relatively free. No one really able to answer. I feel like that's definitely a positioning miss part on the side of ADP. Really losing all the pressure in that middle part of the map, and everyone's still focused on the outer turrets there. So, as we say, tempo, very favored meta. And it's definitely going back into Fellowship's favor.
Yeah, they just gotta take a little lesson here from Salt and Pepper and just push it as fast as they can. Go for the turrets. But I mean that, like you said, the tempo very good. You've got Harablo and the stupid ZZ Rot portal. Literally, he's doing so well at putting it in the right spots. Put it in mid, trying to siege mid, gonna help the mid. He actually used it quite a while in that top lane to stall the push from Poppy. So just keep using it where it's going to be most effective. If you want to try and siege, do that. If you're trying to counter siege, make sure Poppy can't take that turret. I mean, they still have all of their turrets standing right now, so they've done an incredible job keeping that objective. And that's just going to help them push that gold lead, but that can, on the same side, easily turn around because there's so much gold on the map for ADP.
Yeah, Bosgood just chilling in the Raptor camp there. Might be looking for an opportunity to go in and get a flank here, but they're just going to keep pushing here. Teleport coming in from the Nautilus.
Charlesgood actually going down there to that ulti. Thought he was going to survive for a second, but it looks like that Arcane Shift auto getting the last hit. Lee Sin trying to safeguard, but not able to save. And I was going to say, very well done by them if they were able to hold that 1-3-1 against all 5 of the mid with that ZZ Rot, but in the end get caught. And the Tom Kench does use that Abyssal Voyage, trying to catch out Baby Trog, but he's just going to walk out of there, trying to keep himself safe. You're not very mobile, so you have to be very aware on the map. With that ulti, it has a surprisingly long range, and you can bring a buddy with you. Nobody wants to get tag teamed in the jungle.
No, absolutely not. But they were trying to get the Jhin caught out a little bit there, but he is going to get that bonus move speed that Jhin does have built right into his kit, paired with the Zeal that he's going to build up here, and he's going to just be able to run away for himself. I love when Jhin builds Zeal, just because then it's such a lottery of which item he's going to end up with. Is he going to go with the Rapid Fire? Is he going to go with Static Shiv? Surprise, Triforce.
And I can't even tell you because he has a Brawler's Glove and a dagger, so it's like, is he going to build a secondary Zeal? Maybe. I don't know. But it looks like Azog getting caught out by the double snare. They're missing that ulti though. But we do need to see Flamefire go in. That's a great final spark as it goes through the rest of the team. As Lawal picks up a kill. And that's going to be another kill for Liliana, as Harablo isn't even there for the fight. So a 4v5, a great engage there by ADP, picking up a couple of kills for themselves. This should be where they can siege a couple of turrets. They are going to pick up that first one, as Lawal is all going to go in, trying to get Banana's Ink there. A body blocking coming in from Harablo. Not going to need to, as those skill shots just going wide. And they may be able to pick up 2 turrets off of this push, which would be huge for them to come back into this game, as Bosku gets hit by another snare, and they're going to be forced to back here.
Yeah, just enough wave clear on the side of Fellowship of the Nerds. You're actually going to be able to push ADP off this turret, but the Wombo combo just seems to be too much at this point. Azog definitely warming up that wave in the top side, and it looks like the rest of the team is going to be rotating onto that, and then maybe even thinking about taking the rest of the jungle here for themselves. Definitely probably going to be able to take that by himself, maybe just try and catch out Harblow, as he's overcommitting a little bit to try and save this turret. Gonna have to use the what's it? Not the. I want to know the proper name of the hook, but he uses the hook to escape from the Tom Kench tongue lash.
Why can't I think of the name of it? His ulti is Depth Charge, and that's the one I always screw up with. Oh gosh.
It's tough, man. I can't hear it. Whatever.
This is gonna tilt me now. I knew it the other day because I kept calling. Oh goodness.
I'm not gonna be able to say another name of an ability. And
Anyway, Spooky Ghosts are gonna go out. They might be able to get some of his red buff here. The snare does go through there. Should be able to land it up with the second snare. Is he gonna be able to get that crit?
Baby Trog,
He don't need it as Baby Trog picks himself up a free red buff. Thanks for the leash. He goes into the jungle, and that's just the crazy pick potential they have. You're able to follow up with that double snare. They do so much damage. Dredge line. Thank you. I knew it. I knew it. Oh, and look at this. This kid just laughed. See, now we're going to get flamed by our fellow casters here for forgetting one ability. But Bosga does get caught out there as he gets stunned, followed through with the snare there. And they have some pick potential of their own as they follow that through with those CC. They're going to get themselves a kill. But are they going to try and just counter siege here? It looks like Crablo trying to get that top turret. They're sending 3 people, to try and deal with that. But that ZZ Rot portal is in the mid lane. Going to slow the push a little bit as Baby Trog's got to reload before he can deal some more damage to that turret.
Yeah, I mean, but we got to take a look at this Ezreal here. 5-0-2. Definitely scaling up very, very well. He's now picked up the Last Whisper here. Going to be working towards even more items. Looks like he's going for the Grievous Wounds.
He's got Executioner's Calling.
Yeah.
The OG item. Man, when you didn't have Ignite, you packed that sucker against the Mundo. Yeah, try and heal against me now, kid. Go toe-to-toe with that. But I'm very curious of all the items you could build, why you would build Executioner's Calling against this team.
I mean, the only thing I can think of potentially
honestly,
is...
I don't even know what the stats are on the new one since it's been re-worked, but it looks like Lawless does get caught up by that snare there. Boss he goes for the kick, but he gets eaten there, and he's not going to be able to get it onto Lawless Law. Flamefire going to use that Cataclysm just to zone out the curtain call going to go up. Is he going to be able to finish that kill onto Flamefire X? Immediately has to cancel that ulti as Azog goes in. He's going to get CC'd, knocks up the Corki, but he's going to get chain CC'd, and he's going to be killed himself. The Final Spark not going to do enough damage. So a little 1-for-1 trade there. And once again, like you said, so frustrating. They're not even able to get the kick off there as Bosgood goes. He gets the opportunity to kick Lawless Law. Nom, gets eaten.
Yeah, I mean, he looked for the kick so much and definitely got baited into that one there. But Azog also got a little bit baited in there, saying, where's the rest of my team as he gets double snared. Tom Kench nowhere to be seen to kind of scoop him out of that situation. But, I mean, it was a little bit of an unfavorable extended fight for them after that point, as they were so focused on killing off Bosgood that no one was really going to be able to follow up with that one. So Azog overcommitting to that one a little bit, but they are still going to be able to pick up the Dragon at this point. So unless Fellowship of the Nerds can try and steal this or at least force someone off.
Well, it looks like Crablo is going to use that depth charge onto the Ezreal, but they're going to miss the snare coming in from the Jhin. They're going to try and fight this, though. It's Rablo putting a lot of damage down. Flamefire X going to re-engage with the Cataclysm. Going to get the flag and drag. The heal is forced out of Baby Trog, but they're going to pick him another kill. Egluosity going to go down. That's a double kill for Baby Trog. They don't get the Dragon, but Azog is in there. Lola's all going to try and do the final spark, picking up the kill onto Baby Trog as Azog gets that kill. Onto Chosgood as Bananas Inc. Oh, he gets the missile off. The flash is wasted. But the big one, putting them in the dirt. Have a nice snap. Banana Inc. ain't going down today.
Dude, did you hear me audibly gasp at that rocket that got off Azog?
Like, literally, that's a tilt-inducing rocket right there. Goes for the flash Q, maybe even the E, and then gets shot in the face.
Oh, man. Just Azog. So unlucky at this point. He's trying so hard. He's just putting so much work in, and he just gets shut down constantly. And he does have a ZZ Raw portal for himself now as well, so they're gonna be able to match that pushing power that the Nautilus is bringing to the table. But it looks like she's also gonna be going towards this Iceborne Gauntlet, so they're really going for the utility, the double Icebornes there, paired with all the other slows that they have built into the kit. It's definitely gonna be very frustrating, and it might make Bosgood regret not getting those tenacity boots and going for the swiftness instead. The Titanic Hydra is going to do a little bit as far as defensive stats go, and he's still going to be able to put out consistent damage, but if this Tom Kench keeps swallowing up anybody that he's trying to, kick, he's not going to have a good time.
And see, that's the scary thing is even getting the kick onto the Tom Kench into the team would be effective. Tom Kench, a very, like you said, tanky support, very healthy. Kick that guy through. It does the damage based on the percentage health of the target that is kicked. Go for him. Except you got to kick him before you eat somebody, or you're basically saving someone at the same time.
Kick him into Tom Kench. That's how you got to disrupt it. That's the
yeah, you want to eat this guy? Who cool? Right into your mouth.
Double Zeal. He went double zeal.
He goes for the double zeal.
So yeah, picked up the static shiv. Gonna be maybe going for a rapid fire cannon here. Just
I'm
kidding.
tilted. Baby Trog, I'm tilted.
He picked up the Vam Scepter though, so he's gonna be going for a little bit of lifesteal. Having to use the package though from Corki to be able to get out of that unfavorable situation that he found himself in. But they are rotating very far onto this top side of the map.
Actually, no TP is available for Azog, so he's just gonna have to try and push against that ZZ Raw portal. But doesn't look like he's having much of a problem. But he should be able to siege up that tier 2 turret. 2-shot barrage was used. They do pick it up. Tier 2 for a tier 1, I would say definitely worth in that favor. And it was very much slowed there by that ZZ Raw portal. But they're going to look for a re-engage as Ravlo's going to go in there. A great snare by the Lux. Are they able to follow through? And that's Baby Trog going down as the Cataclysm goes out through as well. But Banana Egg doing a ton of damage. More. Are they going to be able to spit him back out to safety? He will get out of there. But Egg Velocity looks like he might pay for his sins. Oh, the snare just missing the flash. E goes out. But it's only going to catch Egg Velocity. Maybe a bit of a waste for that. All in the meantime, though, Azog is going to continually push. That ZZ Raw portal is down. He's got a decent wave going towards that turret, but he's just going to back off. So a 1-for-1 overall, and they just continually keep catching him out.
It was a tough situation. I mean, you find yourself as a Jhin just being completely collapsed on every single time by Flamefire X. It's so tough because he's so immobile, and especially when he has flash down, he's stuck there. I mean, they're going to kill him. He just has to accept that at that point and try and get as much damage off as he can, because you're going to have the final spark coming in from Eliana there and from so much range, so they can't even, you know, kind of spot him out or try and interrupt it or anything like that. It is uninterruptible, so it's not even something they could try and do, but it must be just super frustrating. But then you also got to question the Jhin pick into what they already saw coming. They knew that the Jarvan was here. They knew that the Lux was here because they picked that into it, right?
They have the Black Shield available though, so the snares, he has to play safer when the threat of the Lux snare coming through and the Black Shield is not available.
Yeah,
because it is. I agree with you. It's kind of a questionable pick. Oh, we do see Bosco getting caught out here. He's gonna have to ward jump. They're gonna continually chase here. Baby Trog on the backside there. The flash tongue going out is gonna miss. The Valkyrie going out as well. But I do agree with you. Kind of questionable picking the Jhin into such a dive team and so much CC, but definitely relying here on Chazga to keep him alive, and it was working a little bit there for himself, but lately it just seems like they don't have that coordination. The Black Shield going at the right time, and once again he gets caught out again. No, but the heal is going to be enough to keep him alive. Lol actually flashing and trying to get it. The Curtain's Call goes out. The Cataclysm is available. It does go into Banana Thing and immediately flashes out as Azog going to try and chase that down. A lot of damage being traded back and forth. The snare going on to Azog is followed up by the Dark Binding there.
Not
He's
again.
immediately going to eat it. Bosgood gets baited into there, and they're going to keep chasing down. But it looks like they might back off now, but a snare going onto the Ezreal there. Are they going to follow up? A lot of damage coming through from Banana Tank. A great Valkyrie to get himself out of there as Azog goes really deep into the team there. The Dragon's Rage kick is available, but he may go down before he's able to use it. They're going to keep going. The flash snare just misses, but the auto will pick up that kill. And they're going to finally, after such a long scrummage, they pick up one kill on the Bosco and a turret.
They are going to pick up the turret, which is going to be huge, opening up the map for them completely to try and pick up those other tier 2 turrets, which they desperately need. Sidewave in the bot lane pushing out of their favor, though. But the Dragon is up in 25 seconds, so they're definitely going to try and get control of that area. But Baby Trog, he's in a tough spot at this point. I mean, having to use the flash, even though he had to use the heal to get out of that, they just have so much follow-up for that. It's hard, and again, I'm not a huge fan of the Jhin pick into this point here. I know at the start of the game I said I was, but now the Ezreal is 604, and it's at a very scary point as he is working towards that Cutlass now, so he's going to be having the Blade of the Rune King, but maybe they might try and actually go for a pretty bold play here as they're going to start up the Baron for themselves, and it doesn't look like ADP is really responding to this too much. Azog teleporting to the top side of the map.
He is coming in with home guards there. Looks like he might. He's not going to try and flank. They're just going to try and push them off. That Dragon available as well. It's going to be very scary. I don't know if Fellowship of the Nerds game. It's very smart for them to try and go for this. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say it was smart that they tried to pull everyone to that side of the map, because now they stopped the push of the minions out of the base in the bot side. So they still have that kind of going for them at this point. So if anybody ever goes to answer that, then they have the pressure on the Baron again. So it's kind of a tough choice for ADP at this. So they want to make sure that they always have someone trying to answer that so they can gain pressure on the other side of the map. And if somebody doesn't, then they have the minions gaining pressure for them. Gonna try and push their hand here, though, onto this dragon, as it is live, but no team seems to want to start this one up quite yet, as they want to just try and get the engage and maybe force the kills before that.
And honestly, at this point, ADP Gaming is going to dictate the pace of the game, because they're the ones who continually get the picks, and it seems like their front line is able to engage a lot quicker than Harablo. With the flag and drag into the Cataclysm, you can cover so much ground to try and get them followed up by the Poppy. It takes Harablo a little more time. He has to throw out that dredge line, catch someone out, but they do get the double snare onto Egg Velocity. He's forced to use the Grey Health as they immediately initiate a great knock up there onto Flamefire, delaying the engage. He goes in and Cataclysm's 4 members in there as the final spark goes through. Baby Chalk gets caught there again, but they get the kill. They pick up Bosgood, but that's 2 members for the price of 1. Lawless Law is there. The curtain call goes out as well. He throws it down, gets a 1-shot onto Eliana, a second shot. He gets the crit onto Eliana, very low there. Is he going to be able to follow that up? Goes for the snare, just missing. Traveler's full health. He does last that dredge line. Going to get the snare onto Azog. Is the team going to follow up, as the carries are very low? They have to be very careful as their damage don't have a lot of health left. Not sure they can continually fight this, but a very well played fight there by Fellowship of the Nerds.
Yeah, it is super, super risky at that point, because Baby Chalk got caught in the final spark just going wide, not able to finish him off, and then he was able to get out so much damage to force Eliana so far back and play so safe after that, completely zoning him out of the fight. Same with Lawless Law, getting so low there as well, not really able to follow up too much. We do see the Banner of Command coming out here, though, for Chosgood in the bot side of the, so gonna have that trying to apply even more pressure on that bot lane, so they can maybe even try and force their hand onto this Baron. Gonna see that pushing him farther and farther. He is really low on mana, though, so might have to base here sooner rather than later, but they are gonna pick up this dragon, it looks like, as no one's really kind of answering up to that. You think they'd be able to base, respawn, and rush down there?
Yeah, or even start the Baron. I was gonna say they have vision. They know that they're down there, and that's exactly what they do.
On it. A little late, I'd say, though.
But it doesn't look like most of the Nerds are too concerned. They try and get the Scuttlecraft with the speed boost,
slow,
but
though.
That's the problem. They don't have that much health shred. I mean, Lux
package is available as well.
Oh, this is gonna be very scary if he does come in with it, baby. Or Bosgood is kicking around there. The package goes immediately in. The Baron getting crushed down, and it will be Flamefire actually picks that up as Corki is completely blown up. They keep going in. We do see Baby Chalk caught into the Cataclysm once again. He's going to have to dodge the snare, but he does get hit down as Azog doing a ton of damage to Bosgood. He will go down. Rablo trying to swing in there. He's looking for a Tilly 3v1, and he will go down as Chosgood is the only remaining member of the Fellowship of the Nerds standing, and they will get themselves Baron. Very smart play there by ADP. Maybe a little disrespectful coming through Fellowship of the Nerds. I think they could just take Dragon, not have respond to Baron that quickly, and like you said, it's not like it was going down very quickly.
No, it was a very, very slow start to the Baron, as well as, yeah, they don't really have any huge Baron objective shredders or anything like that. Ezreal's not going to be able to do that at this point. So, yeah, I mean, completely disrespectful play, taking that dragon there right away. But, I mean, at the same time, they did attempt to answer it at least. But no real response from Bananas Incorporated.
It looks like they actually may try and end the game here. They definitely have that Baron buff. The short timers, Baby Chalk and Bananas Inks are coming up, though. So, gonna be respectful and back away. Don't want to try and throw this game off of one bad push. I mean, this weekend LCS definitely shows what a little overconfidence can do if you try and end the game on somebody else's.
Yeah, I think, though, the ADP is going to need around 6 more Dragons and 3 more Barons before we're going to see that that level of throw.
Wait another 30 minutes?
Yeah, exactly. We're going to have to see some 800 plus CS at this point. But, I mean, I still do really like the play. They took so much off of that. So ADP playing the map very, very smart, really kind of knowing where Fellowship might try and be. They didn't really have any vision on that Dragon, just kind of assumed. But we do also see that with the Banner of Command and that ZZ Raw portal, they can kind of do a 2.0 of their games last week, where they had the side lanes pushing, were kind of just trying to hold their own and try and play like a waiting game, like a game of chicken basically with ADP. So that's going to be the only tough part. But trying to do that against Baroned up minions, I don't think it's going to go the way they want it to, which is, it looks like that's what they're trying to set up. Azog, though, in the top side of the map, split pushing on his own here. He's going to be able to do that, though, now that he's got his own ZZ Rod. He has the Sunfire as well, and in Baroned up minions, nothing to shake your head at this point. Bosgood, though, is going to be the one to answer that up. And the Elixir of Iron, it's a very big poppy.
What if I shake my head? No, because I don't believe in ZZ Rot and Baron buff minions.
Just close your eyes and cover your ears, and you don't have to cast the rest of the game.
I'll shake my fist at them instead, stupid ZZ Rot. But this has definitely been quite the game. We're at 42 minutes. I told you this was going to be a painful game. And it's like you said, it's just the way the team concept work. But Flamefire X actually getting caught out. He's going to Cataclysm onto Baby Truck, and they're going to try and go in. He goes very aggressive as Azog is there, but the rest of his team's going to take a while to get there. They might be able to CC it down, and they're going to pick up the kill. Oh, and gonna flash away there.
Problem.
Straight into the mouth of Egluosity. But Lawless Law is kind of by himself as Bosgood goes in. He's going to be able to get the kick. He gets snared before he can get the haiku off, as Lawless Law going to keep throwing up that Q.
The haiku?
Haiku! Man,
I'm poetry?
It's
like
no
poetry?
longer. No, that's a haiku. Okay, that's basically what I called it. You're right. I just don't want to call it Dragon's Rage kick all the time. Sometimes it's just like a haiku! I'm sorry, I'll stop it. I'll stop it. Yes, but I'll stop it. Okay, but see, that was a very scary thing. I was like, Flamefire X, what are you doing? The rest of the team collapsing, but they're not quite quick enough, and they actually make ADP. That really loses them so much pressure towards the end of that Baron buff.
Yeah, man, I got a haiku for you. Take Dragon, take Baron, you dead.
Nice, nice. That was sick. This is SK. Is this SKL Poetry Slam time?
Yeah, exactly.
SKL After Dark featuring Slam Poetry. We do see the curtain call go up. Actually, Flash is away. Rabble actually is going to be down there. They're going to go into Eliana, and this might not be a favorable fight here. The rest of the team trying to catch up. He's taking a lot of damage. He actually gets eaten, and the Dragon Rage kick knocks him out of there. They do land the snare though on Egluosity. He has that Grey Halo available. And Bananas Inc. going to try and do some damage, but that front line is taking absolutely no damage at all, as Azog's just sitting there and just face tanking everything.
Yeah, that was quite the haiku that came out of Bosgood at that point. But the tough point is they have so much AD coming out of their team there with Bosgood, with the Corki. Even though Corki does do a lot of magic damage, he's still going to be doing a lot of physical damage too. And I mean, just the amount that's also coming out of Jin, he's raw AD. There's no real mixed ratios with him at all. So the amount of armor that they build is going to really be shutting down any extended fights they're going to have. Nice.
Oh, they do get out ball as well, but he's immediately going to QSS and get out of there as the Arcane Shift goes through. A Dark Binding just going wide. But they are going to use the Depth Charge though, as Bananas Inc. goes in on it. Lawless Law. One more missile should do the trick, but Kenny landed. He flashed, goes for the kill. As they do lock down Egluosity, is very low on health. The Grey Health is being used, but it doesn't have enough left. The Cataclysm goes on to just Bosgood as Baby Trog is forced to flash out of there, and he's going to try and put down some more damage as he is very healthy. The Lux Snare going out. Final Spark actually hitting Chosgood, but he's going to stay alive. Bosgood trying to stay alive as the rest of his team doing as much damage to Azog as they can. He's going to get the stun under Hablo, but he's definitely not going to walk out of there alive as the snare goes out, and Bananas Inc. will pick up that kill for himself. Very well done by the Fellowship of the Nerds, picking themselves up 3 kills there for none, and with Dragon coming up at 5 seconds, that should be another Dragon in their pocket.
I mean, really turning that fight on its head there, catching out some key members of the fight. Lawless Law going down very, very early was crucial to that. Same with forcing Eliana out of that in the backside too. And then the tanks just sticking around way longer than they probably should have. Flamefire X going and flagging and dragging over top of that wall kind of sealed the deal for him there. And yeah, I mean, that extended fight did not play out the way that they kind of had hoped it would. And exactly, it's going to result in a Dragon here, unless Banana Incorporated is the only one around, and Egluosity is going to try and answer it. This is a very tough spot for him to be in, and he needs the rest of his team before they're going to be able to collapse on it.
Flamefire is there. Is he going to be able to come in there? They're going to try and steal it away, but hopefully that's fine. Oh, they fully burst it out, and he's just going to eat his teammate and get out of there, but they still might be in a lot of trouble. Harablo going to use that Depth Charge onto the Lux. The snare just missing. No, Bosgood using the flash, but he gets stunned up, and he finally gets the Dragon Rage kick, but it's a little late there, and he's in a lot of trouble as Baby Trog gets locked down there by the snare. Harablo going to try and keep chasing down. Maybe a bit of over-aggression there on the side of Fellowship of the Nerds. Their inhibitor has respawned, though, so they won't have to worry about all that pressure coming in from the mid lane.
Yeah, tough call there. There's not the greatest haiku from Bosgood. Tried to force it a little too much.
I'm not going to lie. I think he has been so unfortunate this game.
Yeah.
Every time he goes for it, someone either gets eaten, he gets stunned, he gets CC'd by some sort. Like, he's just not having it. Like, not even his fault, I would say, but he's just not having a great Lee Sin game because of circumstances.
As Amacutie Pie says, unlucky, dude.
Unlucky, dude.
But I do like the itemization here from Jin so far. I mean, going with that QSS. I don't know what that Zeal is going into.
I was going to say,
though. I don't know what it's going into, but I'm so glad that he's finally built a last Whisper.
I agree with you for everything except for that second Zeal. I don't.
I mean, the crit does grant the additional movement speed for his passives.
It's true.
So I mean, maybe trying to get that so he gets a little more positioning on team fights.
I won't doubt Baby Truck.
The theory crafting. I mean, look at that crit, dude. That was a 1400 damage crit. So
he just regular crit for 1115.
Yeah. So I mean, that's coming out of that Zeal, dude. That's straight from the Zeal's mouth.
Straight out of the Zeal.
Yeah.
Got a crazy crit for 1400. But they're gonna rotate to the top lane here. It's gonna be
look at that wave.
Oh baby, that's money in the bank. But they share it. What? Somebody take that, but this is not a very smart play. But I mean, all 5 are top, and that's an open inhibitor. That's just gonna be free pressure for the side of ADP Gaming. So Fellowship of the Nerds gonna try and use those home guards to save it. Isn't going to be enough as Chosgood gets hit by the snare there. And he kicks him out of the Dark Binding, unfortunately. The Curtain Call is going to go up. Going to try and slow down Egg Velocity as the package is available. They're doing a ton of damage to Egg Velocity. They destroy that gray health bar, and they're going to pick up that kill, and they should just keep chasing this down. The depth, or the dredge line actually just missing. Trying to get in range to use the depth charge. A lot of damage going on to the Ezreal, and he's in a lot of trouble as the package is immediately used. He's bursted out. They do, however, take down the Corki, and the Final Spark used, but going to miss everyone. Flamefire taking a lot of damage. He locks in Baby Truck, who's going to be able to pick himself up that kill and move towards onto Azog as the QSS is used to not sure what to clear, but he's going to land the snare. Can Bosgood land that resonating strike? Going to jump to those creeps. The minions might actually do the work for him. Oh, he does stay alive.
He thought he was QSS stunned. Like, he thought he was stunned into the
jar.
Jarvan wall.
Into the jar. It just dropped as he used that.
Exactly. So he didn't actually end up getting stunned. Thought he did. Used the QSS, kind of panicked a little bit there.
2 MLG5 me.
Exactly. He outplayed himself at that point. But they are going to pick up this mid turret in response there. So even though they are kind of on the back foot there, or were at least, the gold has definitely swung into their favor after that one.
They should definitely try and rush up Baron here with Flamefire and Lawless Wall down. Really, all they have is Eliana as that damage with Parablo still there. This would be the perfect time. You don't have your inhibitor up, so try and take that objective to help you push back. They are aware they are doing it, and Parablo not quite there yet, so they're being a little hesitant to go for it. They will back off, being a little scared, but Flamefire and Lawless Wall are up, so you definitely want to back off. It's better to just play it safe than make a call for Baron and lose off of it 3v5.
Hashtag Dignitos. But, I mean, Dignitas. It's just
wow. Wow. Shot at an old SKL team.
You know what I mean.
Dude, you're toxic.
I am
on
toxic.
Stream?
Yeah.
Come on.
Sorry.
Come on. Just
I'm
kidding.
Be Evan here.
Wouldn't they have to play a game to actually try and get Baron?
Wow, that was a good
Sorry,
one.
we can't do this.
You're killing it.
Sorry,
dude.
that was too toxic.
You called me toxic. Too toxic by me.
Dude, that was rough. I'm sorry. But now there's a lot of prioritization on this Baron. With that inhibitor down, it's really kind of a clock. Fellowship constantly having to apply pressure. Great snare there. Chosgood gonna get chunked out there. He is below half health. Half health. English is real hard today, Ponox. But that Final Spark could pick up that kill, so he has to be very mindful of that. Not get locked down or take too much poke damage, because that's a lot of CC for them if he goes down.
And something else that we got to know here, though, is Corki did pick up that Void Staff, too, so he's really hoping that his rockets are going to do quite a bit of damage. So they're kind of going for that poke between him and Jhin there. Going to try and land, like, use the snare.
Void Staff is actually better than Last Whisper.
Well, I agree, because he does so much mixed damage there that you're going to want that on your side. And as well, the rockets, they scale so well. So if you're going to be going with a poke comp style Corki rather than like a, you know, kind of pick comp or something like that, then it's definitely the way to go. Because you're going to want those rockets to, you know, actually impact, because these tanks are so tanky at this point, and they build so much armor that a Last Whisper, I mean, it's not going to chunk them as much as a Void Staff.
Well, and it's prioritizing your magic damage over your physical damage on Corki, because you have 2 physical damage dealers in your jungler and your AD carry.
Exactly.
So yeah, trying to maximize that AP damage, definitely the smarter of the two. But they're doing quite well. They have a huge wave pushing in on that bot turret. Someone's going to have to deal with. They do send Poppy. The TP is available.
And they do send Poppy. Good call. You're good.
You know, Ponox, this isn't my first time reading summoner spells. But
Drudge line.
Drudge line?
Grudge line.
More like drop the bass line. No, that was
No,
I don't even know.
It's not more like that. It's actually not at all.
Not even close.
But Hardball going to try and take this blue buff away, but Azog going to tackle that one away from him.
The snare is going to, or the W is going to go out, not catching anyone, but they are going to do a bit of damage to Azog here. He might Dragon Rage kick. He decides again to the Abyssal Voyage goes through as Tom Kench. He comes up right off the bench. He's right in the game, coach, as that Dark Binding going out. And this is going to be a very scary time to start that Dragon. They're just going to keep trying to go for the poke game here.
And, I mean, definitely got the position on it for Fellowship of the Nerds here, but, I mean, there's so much engage on the side of ADP Gaming. Curtain Call coming out very early.
Going to try and get out Eliana as he is very low. And then Jarvan actually going to try and go in and stop that, but he's going to get immediately CC'd. And he still has the ulti available, but he goes down before he's able to use it. This is a great fight for Fellowship of the Nerds if they can keep chasing it down. They go on to Azog. The Lux is very low, and it looks like Bosgood gets behind them, and he's going to pick up that kill before the final spark goes out. This is very good for Fellowship of the Nerds as they're going to keep putting damage on another snare onto Egglewosity. He's going to be the next target of the team as they're chasing him down the Corki. The Dark Binding landing through, and the CC chain is just too real coming out here for Fellowship of the Nerds. Their inhibitor has respawned. Harablo immediately TPs to that giant wave in the top lane. They're going to try and push here for the end. They might just pick up that other dragon and let Harablo apply that pressure as they pick up the objectives. Could grab a dragon and a Baron off this.
Yeah, I think they have to take something because right now they're just trying to push those lanes, and that's not working out for them. There's a ZZ Raw portal pushing against you. Take the objectives that are actually going to translate later into that. Don't go for the immediate satisfaction. Go for the long term.
Push me and then just touch me.
But anyways, so they're going to rotate onto this Baron now here, and that's exactly what they should be doing. Picking up that Dragon, going to be their fourth of the game. Very, very good point from the Nvidia, because that means that's going to force ADP into a tough decision next time that Dragon spawns. Are you going to give up that fifth Dragon, or are you going to save your base? That's going to be what they're choosing against here. So this is a great pickup if they can actually finish off this Baron. But we do see Flamefire X is back up, and he's rushing towards that Baron pit. They're not burning it down very, very fast, as Jin's not the best objective sealer.
He's got to reload, man.
Yeah, exactly. So it's in a tough spot for him. Azog kind of hovering around the wings here. Flamefire X is going to go in.
He actually steals it. So they are going to go in for the fight. He uses the Cataclysm, but he goes in 1v5. He actually steals it for his team. What a great play. The Abyssal Voyage coming in. He has the Lux there, but the Lux goes in way too. Gets CC'd in. This is not good. Lawless Law in a lot of trouble here. Chaka picking up the kill onto Egglewosity. Azog and Lawless Law going to get crushed. And they may have stole Baron, but they lose the game as they get completely aced. And that should be an easy push for Fellowship of the Nerds after such a heroic triumph. I don't know why they went in for the fight. They had the Baron back off, use the buff to push the waves out. A little greedy there by ADP.
You know, Baron steals are hype, man, and hype makes you do crazy things. Everyone just got
Everyone lost their minds. They went nuts.
Everyone just got on board the Abyssal Voyage. 2-2, we're coming in, and they tried to take that fight very unadvantageous just because Flamefire X is already down for the fight. They are going into a 4v5. They can't do that, not at this point in the game, because that's a huge death timer. Flamefire X still down for another 15 seconds, and their base is gone. So they just lost the game off of that Baron steal.
Are you saying they all got to board the hype train, baby? Woo! Straight, and then they lost.
The coal train. Exactly. That was hype.
That was so insane. What? Why? It was so well. Oh my goodness. Okay, so very good game.
Yeah, fantastic.
Very close game.
Yeah.
Flamefire goes in, steals the Baron. I don't know why they tried to force that. That was so well played. If you go in for a Baron steal, you go in by yourself 50-50, you get it, you keep your team alive because they can push with the minions. You don't, you're kind of screwed.
Yeah.
But he gets it successfully. No one else is really there, and then they just try and hammer fist their way through an entire team.
And the thing, they forced it way too hard because if it was just Tom Kench and Azog going in, they could have at least stayed alive for a little longer. The fact that Lux went in with Tom Kench and then just immediately died as soon as they came out of the Abyssal Voyage, that's really too bad. That's beyond unlucky. That is just, kind of a misplay there. So exactly, she had no contribution to that fight whatsoever. So I mean, exactly, you got to go in with your two frontliners first if you're gonna try and take that fight, which you shouldn't have. And then you gotta just try and delay, let your damage dealers deal damage, and not die.
I'm tilted for them.
Yeah, when you get a Baron steal like that, your main goal is to just not die. Just don't do it for around 60 minutes, or 60 seconds until your jungler's back up, and then force your hand after that when you have 5v5.
And that's why it's so good if they do steal it. Because, yeah, like you said, if they die, there's no way that you have Baron minions. They have Lux. They can wave clear for days. They've got Egg Velocity on Tom Canch, who can eat someone if they try and dive or get in trouble. I think the worst that would have happened, maybe they pick up an inhibitor or two, but you've got the Baron buff to repel the waves. I mean, to be fair though, even if they waited off, they still had that next dragon that came up was 5th dragon, so they still would have been in a lot of trouble. But one way to be Flamefire. That was a great steal. Just unfortunately,
gotta give props where it's due. I mean, he played that super well. I mean, he flag and dragged at the perfect time. He smited like mid flag and drag too. Oh man, it was pristine. And then the rest of the follow up was iffy.
All right, well, we're going to take a short break, guys. Give everyone a quick break. Get the lobby set up for Game 2. Don't go anywhere because who knows, it might be just as hype as that one.
Wow.
Stay tuned.